What's up, everybody? According to the Case-Shiller Home Price Index, housing prices have increased for the last 5 months in a row. The National Association of Realtors reports that home prices in July of 2023 are up 1.9% year over year to reach $406,700, the highest July median ever recorded. Even Lawrence Yun, the NAR's chief economist, said the housing recession is essentially over. But is it? It's basically impossible to afford to buy a house these days, unless you're in the nepo housing market, which basically means that your family is helping you out with the down payment. Redfin's chief economist, Daryl Fairweather, reported that 38% of over 500 home buyers under the age of 30 either used a cash gift from a family member or an inheritance to afford their down payments, making them what Fairweather calls nepo home buyers. I think the reason that matters so much in this housing market is because of how expensive housing has become, Fairweather told Fortune. It seems like the only way to kind of get your foot in the door to the housing markets is to have some help or have an exceptionally high income, particularly at a young age, she added. Elena Botris's article in Fortune showed the interview with Fairweather, where she says that housing affordability is deteriorating and is worse now than at the height of the housing bubble, following an over 40% increase in home values coupled with mortgage rates that have more than doubled. If you're trying to get into the housing markets, and because of how high interest rates are, because of how high home prices are, you have to be like the exception to the rule in terms of your earnings to get into the housing market if you don't come with cash, Fairweather said, and that cash typically comes from parents or other family members. She goes on to say that we are pretty much at a point where you need family money in order to buy a home, which in itself is a testament to just how unaffordable our housing market has become. And if you don't have family money to fall back on, you are effectively being locked out of the market. So where do we go from here? Let's take a look at Bankrate's Jeff Ostrowski's article titled, "Is the Housing Market About to Crash? What the Experts Are Saying," and see if there's a way out of this crisis. Let's dive right in. The last time the U.S. housing market looked so frothy was back in 2005 to 2007. And we know what happened then. The bubble burst and the housing market crashed. So it seems reasonable to assume that the present housing market will also crash. But first, let's look at the numbers. According to Bankrate's national survey of large lenders, the average mortgage interest rate on a 30-year loan was 7.36% as of August 23rd, the highest level since December of 2000. Home sales fell 2.2% from June 2023 to July 2023, according to the National Association of Realtors. The decline since July of last year was 16.6%. The nationwide median sale price in July of 2023 was $407,600, the highest July median NAR ever recorded. July saw a 3.3-month supply of housing inventory, up slightly from June, but still well below the 5 to 6 months needed for a healthy, balanced market. A total number of 31,877 U.S. homes had foreclosure filings, default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions in July of 2023, according to the latest numbers from Atom Data Solutions. Maryland had the highest foreclosure rate of any state in July, at 1 foreclosure filing for every 2,071 housing units. Yikes! I may need to do a separate video on my home state's foreclosure issues, but I digress. With this data, most housing economists agree that prices may come down, but it won't be as severe as the Great Recession, when some housing markets experienced a 50% decline in value. Ostrowski gives 5 compelling reasons why a housing crash is not imminent. So let's go through them. Number 1, inventories are still very low. As previously stated, NAR says that we had a 3.3 months of supply of homes for sale in July. Back in early 2022, it was 1.7 months of supply. supply. And Redfin reports that the total number of U.S. homes for sale is down 19%, the biggest drop since February of 2022. And new listings are down 10%. The lack of homes for sale is causing competition for desired homes in spite of these high mortgage rates with a very small pool of buyers. Mind you, not every house is experiencing multiple offers. In my experience, today's buyers will only put an offer in if the house shows well and is priced right. They really need to see the value. Number 2, builders didn't build quickly enough to meet demand. Home builders pulled way back after the last crash, and they never fully ramped up to pre-2007 levels. Now, there's no way for them to buy land and win regulatory approvals quickly enough to fill demand. While they are building as fast as they can, a repeat of the overbuilding of 15 years ago is unlikely. The fundamental reason for the run-up in price is heightened demand and a lack of supply, says Greg McBride, Bankrate's chief financial analyst. As builders bring more available homes to markets, more homeowners decide to sell, and prospective buyers get priced out of the market, supply and demand can come back into balance. It won't happen overnight. So it sounds like he's saying the affordability crisis has to get a lot worse before it's going to get better. Number 3, demographic trends are creating new buyers. There's a strong demand for homes on many fronts. Many Americans who already owned a home decided during the pandemic that they wanted to buy a bigger place, especially with the rise of working from home. He also cites millennials as a huge group in their prime home buying years. Okay, so more buyers, still not enough inventory, got it. We're still talking about a supply-demand issue. Number 4, lending standards remain strict. In 2007, liar loans, which borrowers didn't need to document their income, were common. Lenders offered mortgages to just about anyone, regardless of their credit history or the down payment size. Today, lenders impose tough standards on borrowers, and those who are getting a mortgage today overwhelmingly have excellent credit. The median credit score for mortgage borrowers in the second quarter of 2023 was a high of 769, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. If lending standards loosen and we go back to the wild, wild west days of 2004 to 2006, and that is a whole different animal, says McBride. If we start to see prices being bid up by the artificial buying power of loose lending standards, that's when we will worry about a crash. Number 5, foreclosure activity is muted. In the years after the housing crash, millions of foreclosures flooded the housing market, depressing home prices. That's not the case now. Most homeowners have a comfortable equity cushion in their homes. And while there has been an uptick in foreclosures, it's still nothing like it was. According to Adam, there were a total of 185,580 U.S. properties with foreclosures filings, default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions in the first 6 months of 2023. To give this context, there were 296,458 foreclosure filings in the first 6 months of 2019 and 1,332,991 in the first half of 2008, which only got worse in 2009 and 2010 before it started to get better. So their conclusion is that while home prices are still pushing the bounds of affordability, this boom will not end in a bust. But does this make you feel any better? Even if we don't have a housing market crash, we still have a serious affordability crisis, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. Many existing home sellers are simply staying put with their incredibly low interest rate rather than sacrificing it to buy something new with a much higher rate. So how are homes supposed to be affordable in the future? Zillow's latest housing market forecast predicts that home values will rise 6.5% between July of 2023 and July of 2024, up from the 6.3% it called for last month. For perspective, U.S. home prices, as measured by Case-Shiller, have averaged a 5.5% annual increase since 1975. And according to Redfin's latest housing market update, home prices are still on the rise in many places. The biggest sales price increases are in Miami, up 17.1% year over year, Newark, New Jersey, up 16.1%, San Diego up 12.3%, Milwaukee up 12.1%, and Providence, Rhode Island up 11%. Home sale prices declined in just 6 metros. Austin, Texas, down 8.7% year over year. Phoenix, down 2.4%. Portland, Oregon, down 1.4%. Fort Worth, Texas, down 1.3%. Las Vegas, down 1.2%. And San Antonio, Texas, down 0.5%. And as for inventory, new listings of homes for sale fell 10.4% year over year. New listings declined in all but 2 metros that Redfin analyzed. They fell most in Atlanta, down 32% year over year, Las Vegas down 27.5%, Cleveland down 26.7%, Sacramento down 21.4%, and Riverside, California down 20.9%. They increased in Milwaukee, up 6.1%, and San Jose, California, up 4.3%. Active listings dropped 18.7% year over year, the biggest decline since February of 2022. And finally, home prices. Redfin reports that 34.1% of homes sold above their final list price, down just slightly from 36% from a year earlier. And on average, 6.2% of homes for sale each week had a price drop, the highest share since November, and roughly the same as a year earlier. But as we know, real estate is very localized. So what's happening in one part of the country may be very different than what's happening where you live. Comment below and tell us what you see in your neck of the woods. I think the one thing we can all agree on is that we have a serious affordability problem in our country and something needs to budge. Whether that means bringing rates back down or home builders ramping it up. We need to create more inventory and make money more affordable. Or we're doomed to become a country of nepo homebuyers, and that seems really unfair to me. If you missed last week's video on the housing market, definitely check that out next. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Bye!